Hi everyone, good to have you here. My name is Moshe, I'm the VP Research at Upwind Security. Today with me, our head of InfoSec, Gurab Nagar, and also from the security research team, Avital Arel.
Hey guys.
Hey, hi everyone.
So today we are doing Shai Hulud 2.0 security briefing for security teams and practitioners who want to actually get knowledge about this incident. So let's get started. So Avital, tell us, what is actually Shai Hulud 2.0?
Yeah, so Shai Hulud 2.0 is a large-scale NPM supply chain attack. It's a continuation of the first attack of Shai Hulud 1.0, which we have seen a few months ago. So in this attack, much similarly like the previous attack, attacker publishes malicious NPM packages that has a pre-install script. Once a developer installs these packages, it updates. He unknowingly also they execute malware, and this malware spreads in a worm-like propagation, so we can understand it spreads extremely fast and it amplifies the entire ecosystem.
Interesting. So maybe just let's start with the technical background about what is the ecosystem and where this entire operational is going on. So the first thing we need to understand is what open source and what open source community is. So basically, open source community and open source software is something that's been termed a few years ago when the community decided to open most of the software projects to the world and actually share the code between contributors and actually gave the ability to a personal of interest to provide code to a project, which actually lead us to GitHub and source control, which are the frameworks or platforms where those developers are being working day to day and actually sharing code between them. And we see that in those kind of incidents, they are focused on the NPM environment, which actually related to JavaScript. And the NPM environment will actually be the foundation of the attack itself. And we see inside of the attack, we're using ban runtime, which is a quite unique runtime high performance for JavaScript, which is quite a replaceable for Node.js, which provided by Google a few years ago. And let's talk about the NPM actions, which are a crucial part of the attack. So post-install and pre-install are actually actions that the NPM lifecycle of the package manager provides you to be able to do actions after and prior to the installation of the package, which is one of the reasons that this attack is so harmful. And runners are the core foundation of the pipeline of CI/CD, where the things are happening, where secrets are installed or an injection in runtime. And lastly, Travelog, a simple open source which used to track and detect secrets at runtime and on disk, which is being used. So this entire ecosystem that's being described here is part of the attack. So moving forward, Avital and Gurab, please describe me why this compromise was so spread, or why or how does it so different than other attacks we've seen?
Yeah, based on the reverse engineering work we did, this isn't just a malware. I think this is a multi-cloud credential exfiltration framework where the attacker is coming in, running a truffle hog, scanning all of your repository, collecting all the creds, and then going to cloud, and not just one cloud. It's going to Azure, Amazon AWS, and GCP, and collecting all the credentials and submitting to their controlled GitHub repository, right? So there will be phases of this attack. This is the first part where they're collecting they're performing reconnaissance, they're taking the data. But I do believe that there will be more attacks that we'll see originating from this attack, right? So it's very dangerous, and it's supply chain. It's a modern way where attackers are trying to target multiple organizations at the same time, and has a larger impact overall.
Yeah. Avital, so I know in the morning you called us and said like, hey, we've seen multiple incidents happen in the same time using our Upwind MDR. So can you describe a little bit about that?
So we have seen that our MDR team monitors customers 24/7, monitors their entire environments and making sure they're secure, and we have established a baseline of what is normal for our customers to have. So when we saw that there was activation of truffle hog, which is a bit abnormal for some of our clients, we immediately alerted them, and we were able to stay on top of that and immediately know that there is something wrong even before this attack was even published. So it was hours before the attack even came out, which of course is incredible, and it was an immediate value for our customers to research this even before it was so widespread.
So I think what is very unique in this attack that we saw multiple layers that across the systems and indications, not even regarding to Upwind, we actually saw the behavior prior to when it happened. So I would like to jump to our next point to this discussion about the risk that is affecting the customer, why it's so dangerous. So Vital, can you provide some context on the risk assessment that you've been doing for customers?
Yeah, of course. So the risk assessment here is quite unique because, as you can see, there was the scale of this attack is insane. 25K repos, more than 350 packages that were compromised. So we really have to go over the client's environment and just see if they have any package that is vulnerable, if they have any pipeline that would allow this thing to propagate through their environment. And once we recognize that this is something that is happening, then of course we suggest them the best remediation steps to contain it, and of course then deal with it and handle it after it's ending.
Something that is very interesting to me is how we actually manage it on our own GitHub. So can you share some insights from, let's start from the assessment at Upwind until the remediation?
Yeah, I think from remediation perspective, there are a few things that are super important. Like any execution of Trufflehawk is super critical. Like you got to write like detective control or preventative control around this. Any usage of GitHub personal access token like PAT needs to be either disabled or restricted. And then you also want to continuously monitor your network traffic, like what's egress, what's going outbound. And the better is that if you have short-lived credentials and you keep rotating them time to time, better security hygiene, the better fundamental security, it will be good for the organizations to handle this kind of attack.
Interesting. So we actually remember going up with some, Fortune 500 customer, and actually he told me we see it all over around our runners, and I was like, okay, we need to code freeze the system. It was crazy, and I think it's a necessary thing to actually stop for a few hours because of the I want to call it exploitation because it happened at the same time with multiple packages, and I think it's one of the unique attacks that you see it all in one time. And I remember the calls from the MDR saying like 6 and the 7 customers got affected at the same time. And I think in some cases, actually, code freeze is quite a reasonable remediation. And also they understand that some of these tools actually being run on your developers' machines, and we need to understand how we can help those tokens to refresh and detect them. So I totally agree. And for our discussion, I've decided to bring up 2 detections from the console. So first of all, we have the story on the left. So basically what you're seeing right now is how our engines actually being able to correlate identities and actually build the entire flow of the attack without even understanding what is Shai Hulud and what is related to even this exploitation or attack flow. And we can see that we managed to build a flow that says like, hey, we saw many credentials being created and leaked. Let's just remove them. They've been assumed by an attacker, so they've been leaked. And on the right side of my slide, you can see the actual execution of the truffle hog. I wasn't able to actually provide the process data that we have in the console, but it was amazing to see the flow from the NPM until the truffle log itself. So we actually managed to see the full flow with like understanding what is really happening. Gurab, I'm interested to hear your take about this.
Yeah, I think that was incredible to see how this entire thing was executed, starting with the npm package itself, execution of npm install, running of burn environment commands, and then from there going to trufflehog, scanning the entire repository, collecting that data, and then going to AWS, GCP, and Azure after that. Capturing all that telemetry is incredible. I think we saw it firsthand with the Upwind platform, has done it automatically. It's just so incredible to see the power of the platform here.
And from research perspective, Savital, I think the CloudTrail logs actually was the last ceiling of this attack. How do you see that?
They were the last what?
The last ceiling of the attack, like the last indicator that said like, hey, something is wrong here.
Oh, yeah, of course, because one of the last stages we have seen in this attack is that once the attacker got all the tokens from your local environment, from your repos, from GitHub, and so on and so on, he basically went on to attack cloud APIs, which, of course, you have your secret managers, your IAM, your S3 buckets, each cloud with their own respective resources. And once you access those things, of course, it triggers CloudTrail. And we in Upwind, because we collect all those logs, we analyze them, and we have detection based on these CloudTrail resources. They helped gave us the full picture of exactly what was going on, at exactly which stage in the attack you compromised it, what was accessed, when, what's the scale of it. So it really helped us modify and get the bigger picture of the entire thing.
Amazing. So thank you, team, so much for joining up with me to this discussion, this important discussion and these important tools. Thank you so much. For those of you in the industry seeing this video, we are here to help you 24/7, giving you free hotline to reach out and ask questions. Thank you so much and stay safe. Happy surfing.